Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Broke Gaijin podcast, the podcast about the journey to financial freedom for both you and us. You guys are just as part of it as we are. We are here in the wonderful city of Tokyo, Japan. My name is Eddie. I'm one of the broke guys that will be talking to you on this podcast, and joining me, as always, is my good friend, my buddy, my pal, Aaron. How are you, good sir?
How's it going, Eddie? I'm all good, ready to go, ready for another episode.
Another episode, right? How's everything holding up like in your week and everything?
Oh,
we haven't really had much of a talk time.
No, not really. We've sort of been caught up in everything. This week's been pretty good. Again, you guys have been amazing. We're up to like 130 odd downloads now, which is 140.
Yeah.
Whoa. Let's try and get that up to 200. We need to help us get it up to 200, get more people to see it, and grow this community we've got going.
All right. But God. Well, anyway.
What about yourself? How's your week been?
Just awful.
Oh.
Okay, maybe that was a bit too much. I don't know. I don't know. It just God. Like the week, it was just hard to get through.
Oh.
I don't know.
It's not even over yet.
Yeah, it's not even over yet. Well, I mean, one more day.
Yeah.
But because it's like, I mean, you and I had like a brief little talk about it. I don't know what happened, but I've just been so tired this week.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, we did have a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody listening to this, like if anybody has any idea what it means to be just really full of energy, but for some reason your eyes are just tired and you feel like you got to get some sleep, please, like, let me know. Tell me what's happening to me. Am I dying? Like, what's going on? like what? Like, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, right. So, excuse me. So yeah, Aaron. Anything in particular you want to kind of throw out there before we get into today's topic?
Let's just jump right into it. I don't really have anything off the cards, although there may be an update for next week, guys, so stick tuned.
All right. Yeah, because same thing with me. Just from the week I haven't had any chance to look at any particular interesting news or anything like that. But Aaron, I have a question for you, actually.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Fire away.
All right. Are you afraid to fail?
Terrified.
Terrified, huh?
Terrified.
I would have to say the same for me.
I would say that's probably the natural state, is to be scared of failing. It's not something humans like to do.
I would definitely agree, but like, because this has kind of been something that's been like going on in our mind, and I definitely feel that it's something, especially for like a podcast like this, we need to talk about something like this. I don't know if this is like a super, I wouldn't call it like an extremely serious topic of discussion for like what's going on and what we're doing and what all these other people are doing and everything like that. But I feel like it's necessary, you know?
Oh yeah, this is something that we wanted to sort of get off our chest early, and as we kind of think it's going to be a theme in our endeavors, not only our endeavors but yours as well. It's going to be something that you are going to encounter no matter what.
Right.
So whether it's on a micro level, macro level, and that is
failure.
Yeah.
Was that what you were going for? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was okay. All right.
I was kind of ramping it up. I was kind of
okay. I thought I was gonna fail at finishing your sentence there. So that would have been a good example. But
right.
So like serious talk. Why exactly are you afraid of failing? Like what particular aspects in terms of failing kind of get to you? Because I don't think that, like, even outside of this podcast, I don't think that's something we've actually talked about or touched or anything like that, you know?
No, not really. But I'd like to kind of take a step back from your question and let's break it down for the people at home.
Okay.
Because I think failure is kind of subjective.
You think so?
Oh, I definitely think so. It's definitely subjective. I think that what is deemed a failure in one now there is obviously objective failures, but I think there's some subjectivity to that as well.
Really?
There's the kind of, in my mind at least, I think that failure is also divided into micro and macro. You know, you've got a big project that failed versus a small task, a part of that project that failed that you can kind of recover from. Those are kind of two kind of failures to me. And as well, there's also the how far along you got with the project before it ultimately failed. Now, one could see a failure as something that, I don't know, only achieved half of the target it was supposed to achieve. Some would consider that a failure. Others wouldn't consider that a failure. They would consider if it achieved nothing to be a failure. You know, and if it achieved 1%, it's a success. So, at least for me, I think failure is subjective compared to different people. Different people see failure differently.
That's a very interesting take.
Would you agree?
To an extent, yes. The reason why I say to an extent is because I think that failure, it does take aspect of, like, it does have this aspect of macro and micro, but I think failure begins with just the action of doing it or not doing it, I think. Because technically speaking, if you don't really put forth the effort in the first place, you don't fail. So therefore, if you don't, like, if there's nothing to fail at, you're not failing.
You know, you can't lose if you don't try, kind of thing, right?
Right. So the whole fact that you don't try in the first place is kind of a failure.
Sort of like a failure to launch, almost.
Yes.
Right. But again, like I said, maybe people don't see that as a failure. You know, if you don't try, you don't fail. So if you don't ever do the thing, then you can't fail at it.
I mean, I can understand that mindset just because, I don't know, I've dealt with like some of the clients and stuff that we deal with. I've dealt with a whole bunch of times where I'm just like, you know what, maybe if I don't do something, then, you know, I'm not going to be fail there. I'm not going to fail. Therefore, like, I'm not in the wrong, you know?
Right. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like just kind of not doing something about that, or basically just kind of dealing with something like that kind of already puts, rather than having one specific failure, it kind of puts you on a path of failure.
Right. I can't. Yeah. I understand your point there.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a little bit. I don't know. Maybe in my head it's just weird, but like that's just kind of how I see it.
Yeah. I think it's completely subjective.
Yeah. But like something that really kind of, I don't know, gets to me is like why is there such a huge emphasis on failure in both like good and bad ways?
Yeah, that's I think failure is something that if you want to do anything, and I mean literally anything, like I fail at drinking water sometimes. You're going to fail at something. You're going to fail at some things. Absolutely. But when it comes to sort of the sphere in which we operate, which is, you know, on the way to trying to reach financial freedom, there's been various projects that you start and maybe finish that you consider failures, maybe things that you would like to do and never get round to, that you consider that like a personal failure. But also, there's also the other side of failure, which is the learning from failure and adapting from things that you fail at.
Right. And in terms of that, I don't know. I feel like over the years there's been, like, I understand if you can learn from a failure, then technically that's a win. It's not necessarily a failure if you learn from a failure. So long as you learn, yeah, you know. So, but the thing is, and I actually got to thinking about this quite a bit, is that we've, over the years, in business culture, entrepreneurship, financial freedom, pretty much like all the big sectors of whatever industry you can think of, there's been a development of this kind of culture where you're actually encouraged to fail.
Yeah, I think it needs to be fostered more, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, I actually do.
Really?
I'm a fan of failure.
You're a fan of failure.
I'm scared of it, but I'm still. It's kind of I'm more like I respect failure. It's more that I'm still scared of failing, but I think there is some value in failing. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I agree. I definitely agree that there is a value there. Like I said, so long as you learn from a failure or a mistake which caused the failure or whatever you would consider that failure.
Right.
So long as there's something to be learned there, that's good. That's, you know, that's something to be gained and technically not a failure, at least in my eyes. But the thing is, in terms of going into this culture of being encouraged to fail, so that way you can become better, you can learn the most you can, so that way in the future you don't fail, because you've already failed before, technically speaking. You're supposed to learn from that. It gets in. I feel it gets into. It gets a little dangerous. And the main reason why is because the more you focus on failure, the more it just kind of feels more hopeless. Because it kind of gets into that point where if you're constantly being encouraged to fail, then it's like people are enforcing the negative so much to where it gets to a point where you just feel like, you know, to where you get to that point where you're like, well, why should I even try? Because I'm just going to fail anyway. It goes from learning to learned helplessness, I feel.
I actually think the complete opposite.
Really?
Which is funny. It's interesting. This is our first like proper diametric like disagreement on the show. This is great.
Yeah.
So I actually think that encouraging people to fail, you're not encouraging failure as a state of normality. So you're not encouraging that everything they do they're going to fail at. What I like to think of it as is that you're actually not encouraging them to fail necessarily, like give them something you know they definitely can't do and wanting them to fail. It's not quite that. It's rather building a tolerance to failure and building like a resistance to failure. So with that kind of said, it can kind of reinforce a really positive mindset that if you actually fail a lot, at least to begin with, at least to start with, I would say that you would learn better from failing than you do from getting everything right. In the long term, at least. Because if you did something, say for example, I don't know, I took I took the Financial Times out. I looked at all the freaking stocks that are in the. I looked at all the stocks that were in the paper that day, and I just took a dart, threw it, and it just hit one, and I bought that stock, and a year later, it returned me 10,000% of my money, and
God, if only it was that simple, right?
If only it was that simple.
Oh, God.
And you would say, yes, that's kind of luck. It's kind of a silly thing to do, but if you wanted that, it could even reinforce that. You could either know that, oh, I was just lucky, or two, you could say, oh, let me just throw a dart at another one next time, and I'll probably win with that one too. It's kind of reinforcing the wrong thing.
Well, are you're still talking about like the failure overall?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
So it's kind of comes to failure and kind of process too. So like, or failure of process.
Okay.
So most things we do are a process, right? We
right,
A,
right.
then B, then C, right? So if you took a process that doesn't work or is unlikely to work and you find out that it worked for you, you haven't really learned anything from that. And if you tried it again, you're more than likely to fail. And then you're like, well, what happened? It worked last time. Why didn't it work this time? Whereas if you have like a process, you could take that process and kind of analyze why it didn't work and then apply that to be successful next time.
Okay. But, excuse me. God. Oh, God. There's something's going on with me, I swear. But, yeah, so going into that whole learning process, right? A whole bunch, like, there's a lot of people out there, kind of like similar to what you just said, that when you fail, you kind of examine where you went wrong or what you possibly did wrong. What were the problems? What are the possible solutions? And then implementing said solutions and then going through the same process over and over and over again.
Right.
Sometimes people get it spot on. They hit a bullseye and they say, okay, this is what I did wrong. And, you know, they fix it, correct it, whatever word, verb you want to use there. And then it turns out to be a success. So therefore they win. On the other hand, there are those people on the other side of the spectrum where they're constantly trying different stuff all the time and nothing ever works, which kind of drives them down this hopeless road. And what I'm getting at here is there's so much emphasis being placed on learning from failure that no one, well, I'm not going to say no one, that's a fallacy to say that, but there's not a lot of emphasis on your success. People prefer to learn from their failures versus learning from their success. Because the same reason as you saying, the same approach of saying, why did I fail, can be applied to why did I succeed?
That is true. That's valid.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, is it, I mean, because think about this. In personal experiences, so many people, I feel like I'm repeating myself constantly, I'm sorry. But so many people in their own personal experiences, or even just quote unquote in real life, they always say we have to learn from our mistakes, we have to learn from our failures. But at the same time, take a look at, you know, blogs and books and all this other stuff. And anybody who's written, I mean, like even the book that we just talked about in the previous episode, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
This guy, I mean, I'm pretty sure Robert Kiyosaki, by the way, everybody. I'm pretty sure throughout his life he learned from some mistakes, but technically within the principles and stuff that he wrote in his book, by us reading that book, we are learning from his success.
But I would argue you're also learning from his failures.
Kind of indirectly, you mean?
Yeah. No. So I think you can actually learn from not only your own failure but other people's failures too. I think that's a completely valid way to learn as well. When I talk about failure, I'm talking about in the broad sense. In the broad sense. Not just your own failures, not just you trying something and not working, but this guy saying, "Hey, I tried that. It doesn't work." You know.
Right.
I lost some money on that. It doesn't work. You know. So this is how a lot of information gets to, like, we in our industry we have to read a lot of news, a lot of blogs, and these people do a lot of testing, and testing is like quite a lot of failures involved to find what works.
Oh, I agree. I definitely agree. The thing is, when you have a test there, I suppose the way I'm phrasing it kind of sounds like or like a half glass, half full, half empty kind of thing.
Okay.
When we do a test, there's a winner and then there's a failure. There's a right and a wrong whenever you're doing in the test. So when you have a test, do you shouldn't you either, if with doing a test like that, you either focus on the failure or you focus on the success. A lot of people, in terms of what we're doing the tests, we focus on the failure and saying, okay, well, this test failed because there's a failure here, so now we're focusing on the failure. That's obviously no good. We got to get rid of it. But rather, why is it not the other approach of like, okay, there's a test, we have a failure, there's the winner. Why is this one the winner? Why is this one a success? And then learning as to why this specific outcome, quote unquote, success happened.
Yeah. I see that. It's kind of, I think we're kind of looking at the same issue from just two different sides, and both sides are kind of valid. You know, they both kind of work here.
Yeah.
So I absolutely take your point that, you know, if you're declaring a test, you see which one wins, and the one that wins, you kind of focus on that one, or go to test the winner against another one, and you kind of focus on the winner, and you take the winner up to the end and until you've got your ultimate, you know, your ultimate result.
Right.
No, that is absolutely true. I suppose we could say that it's almost on a case by case basis.
Case by case, you feel?
You could almost say case by case. If it's at least in testing, you're absolutely right. You focus on the winner and you take the winner onto the next stage, or you just you take your winner and you do with it what you will. But in other things, when I don't know, you're trying to start a new business and you're sort of trying out a new business and your business fails, or certain products within that business aren't doing well, you kind of take the failure of that product and see how you can improve it for next time. It's kind of feedback analysis.
Right. But on the other side of that coin, the failures aren't really the ones that make it into the mainstream now, are they?
I
In
would
terms of
say
businesses.
that they do,
Really?
but after not in the state that they failed in.
Oh, okay.
Not in the state they failed in, but I would say there's an argument there that probably quite a few may make it in after a certain amount of again feedback analysis. Okay, this thing didn't work. Like I don't know, I'm making a new phone. Users say that this button's too big, so we change the button and give this back to users. Now the screen's too small, so we make the screen a bit bigger and we give back to users. And then you've got that kind of analysis, that kind of cycle, until eventually you kind of chisel out success by getting rid of all the failure from it. You kind of like you kind of just remove that bit there, maybe put that bit back on until you're sort of sculpting success.
Yeah.
Versus
like smoothing out the rough edges and all.
Oh yeah. And I think that's what success comes from, and that kind of applies in your life as well. So for example, if you are trying to let's just take you're trying to start, I don't know, a clothing store or something, and then you find that this t-shirt doesn't sell that well, and then you ask your customers, why aren't you buying this t-shirt? Oh, well, the color's wrong, I don't like the design, the shirt doesn't fit me, even though it says I'm a medium, and it doesn't fit. And then you take that product back and you kind of adjust it, and you kind of you sort of play around with it a bit, and then you come back with a sort of relaunch product, and all of a sudden it could be your best-selling item, because you've taken that feedback from your customers and from the sort of the questions you've been asking, and you have sculpted a successful product from it.
I feel like that example is a little sophisticated, a little too complicated.
Oh, okay.
The reason why I say that is because, and I don't know, we might trail off topic here for example, but like, if you have that shirt, what am I saying? If you have that shirt and the customer gets it, but like it doesn't fit the customer or whatever, using that same example, what if it's the shirt that's not the failure? It's just the customer got the wrong thing.
Right. And that could be a case too.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
That could always be the case. Like there's always the case that no matter how many times you redesign the shirt, people ain't buying shirts anymore.
Right.
They're not buying shirts. So that could be a thing. So I think maybe when you guys out there are kind of approaching things that aren't working for you or aren't going so well, or you've tried a new initiative, you tried to start a new business, or you've tried to create a new revenue stream, I would say definitely take what Eddie's saying and I'm saying kind of both into consideration when you're considering whether you need to either shelve this thing or try to improve upon your process.
Well, yes. Yes.
There's no hard and fast. There's no easy answer. There's no just take what Eddie says and just just if it's a failure, then shelve it and try something else, or don't just take what Aaron says and take that thing and try to improve it. Sometimes it's just not going to work.
Oh, I definitely
Sometimes
agree.
it's not going to work. But it is. This is why I think failure is such a difficult subject for many people, because it takes a really sharp-minded, real deep analysis to find out why something failed.
Right, but that can. I'm not trying to, but anybody out there or whatever, I'm not trying to discredit what you say in any way, shape, or form. I'm just trying. I'm looking at it from a different, the other side, because that's exactly my point. It takes a sharp mind to figure out why you failed, but at the same time, it takes a sharp mind to figure out why you succeeded.
Yes, true. It could be many variables in that. Yeah.
Yeah. My overall point really is my overall argument is I feel essentially what I'm trying to say is just stop believing that failure is a habit and success is a fluke, essentially.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of the time when you focus on failure so much, it starts becoming a habit. You start actively looking into failing so that way because you believe that failure could lead to success by learning from it or whatever. Again, I'm not saying that you can't turn it into success, or I'm not saying that if you fail so many times that you just kind of give up on success or anything like that. What I am saying is if you're constantly focusing on failure and you consider failure to be a habit, just a natural habit, that can lead to a dangerous path of just feeling hopeless and, why bother?
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's but I think that it could almost come back to, I believe it was episode 2 or 3.
Oh, the mindset?
Mindset.
Yeah.
It comes down to, I truly believe that you only fail when you give up.
Ooh, okay, you know what?
I believe that you only fail when you give up.
Right. That's you know what? That's a good thing to say.
Yeah. On the macro level, I would sum it up to say you only fail when you give up. So if you've got, but I'm just going to go over it again for those who haven't listened to the previous episodes. If you have a goal in mind, like for example, this podcast is all about achieving financial freedom and the sort of escaping the rat race. If that's your goal, no matter how many things you try, and if I don't know, you try different things to kind of generate cash flow, income, all that kind of thing. No matter how many things you try, as long as you keep trying to do that main thing you've got that main goal, then I don't think you can be considered a failure.
You know what?
You only fail when you give up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is the first time this podcast we agreed.
In this episode, for sure. Yeah.
But,
so I can point to things in my own life, and again, I've sort of gone into it in more detail in previous episodes, where I have tried things, or at least I thought I had tried things, and they haven't ended up working out, and I've kind of given up on them, and that's when I failed. The moment I decided to give up on those things is when I failed. It wasn't that way didn't work or way A didn't work and I didn't try B through C or B through Z. It was just that when I decided that I'm probably not going to do that, it was at that moment that I failed.
Yeah, and I would have to say
that can't be you.
I would have to say this is the same for me.
Yeah.
Because my God, I can't even, I don't know. There's so many things that I've tried doing and then I just kind of stopped, gave up. Yep. I don't know. What? Yeah. Because but why?
I think that failure is. I'm sure this is a thing, but I've heard it before that failure is a state of mind.
A state of mind.
A state of mind, and I truly believe that. Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I could. You know what? I think we should get a psychologist to.
Any psychologists out there that want to be on the show, please hit us up and we can have this. We can go into this a bit further. But this is, yeah, I honestly think that it's kind of a state of mind, and I think it comes from giving up. Like 9 times out of 10, anything that you try, if it doesn't work, you decide to give up, and it's a conscious decision. To stop doing something. Therefore, failure is almost a conscious decision. You decide to fail.
Actually,
not necessarily in that one thing that you're trying to do right there and then, but if you've got a larger goal, if to fail at that, then I would say it's a conscious decision to just you kind of decide to fail at that.
And in addition to that, because I'm going to add on to that, I find it interesting that even when it's kind of your choice to fail, or kind of like what you said, like you just kind of give up. There's a small point in time where you actually kind of get angry about it. I don't know about you, but at least like for me, or a couple people that I know, I won't say any names or anything, but there are some times where like people just when they give up, they think that like they just get really apathetic about anything revolving. Like who was it that coined the term sour grapes? Like the whole
I've heard it. I've no idea where that
I forgot.
came from.
Yeah, I forgot who coined that, but the whole thing was like, oh, you know what? I didn't want to do that anyway, kind of a thing.
Oh yeah, kind of throwing your toys out of the pram.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Like I don't know, but like my God, because like when I was in high school or whatever. By the way, everybody who's listening, I am an adult. I know my voice still sounds like a teenager or, some kid, but I did graduate high school, so thank you.
You're at least that far.
I'm at least that far. Come on. But yeah, because like when I was younger, I mean, my God, like I would do that a lot. Because every time I tried doing something new, especially something artistic. Oh God.
Oh right.
God.
yeah. I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just doesn't work. You get frustrated, and you sort of turn that anger inwards, and yeah, that's definitely something that I can definitely relate to. That.
Yeah.
But so on that point, I do believe as well, something else, if you take nothing else away from this episode at all, I would say that it also, not only that you only decide to fail when you give up ultimately, but on like the macro level, you fail when you give up. But on the micro level, like you try something and it just doesn't work, and you said, you know what, I'm going to shelve that and try something else. I think I honestly believe that I wouldn't be the person I am today without failing, and I think failure builds character.
Positivity. Brought to you by two broke Gaijin.
I honestly think it builds character, it builds resilience, it builds tenacity. And I know at the beginning of the episode I said I was kind of I'm afraid of failure, and that is true to a certain extent. Like there's things that I want to do that I haven't yet done because I'm afraid of what failure would mean. But there is no way I would have got to this point without failing before, and being okay to take those risks moving forward from there. I still have a long way to go, and I don't think I'll ever get it. It's another thing like mindset. It always it's a constant battle. What did we talk about? The other episode was motivation. Another constant battle. I think failure is another constant battle. But I would say out there, keep pushing yourself. Try to stay uncomfortable. If you feel comfortable, you're probably doing it wrong. Would you agree?
Wait, did you say if you feel uncomfortable, you're doing it wrong?
No, if you feel comfortable, you're doing it wrong.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I agree.
Yeah. So if you feel comfortable with what you're doing it probably wrong.
Yeah.
At least I found in my experience the times that I've taken the biggest strides forward in from where I was 5 years ago to where I am now is definitely when I was feeling the most uncomfortable.
I would say the same for me.
Yeah, and that uncomfort comes from, what if things go wrong? What if I fail? And the more you get used to that discomfort, I'm sure the better you'll do. And I think you'll find it's a constant theme among many, not just this podcast, but other podcasts and other blogs and anything. You read anything about success and successful people.
Oh yeah.
One of the main things is failure, and they were not afraid to fail. I think it's kind of BS. I think everyone's afraid to fail to some extent, but some people are more afraid to fail than others.
Yeah, I think it's
a spectrum.
Yeah, I just think it gets to a point where I just think to some people they're more susceptible to that fear. Is that what I'm trying to say? I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's people. Some people are more afraid of that than others, and I think those people who are more afraid of it probably haven't experienced it as much as those who are less afraid of it.
Ooh, I would have to disagree with you there.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they have experienced it less. I just think they haven't tackled it head on more or as much than those who are more experienced.
That could definitely be true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that point too. Yeah.
Right. So that's anyway. Yeah. Keep up hope.
Yes.
Keep up hope. Keep pushing forward. Get on your grind. Whatever other positive thing cliches. I can't think of. I'm failing at trying to think of some.
That's fair. Right. It's okay. You don't fail unless you give up. Keep going.
Everybody out there, make sure to thank our sponsor, Positivity.
Yes, we are sponsored hard this week, but I think people may think that's a bit of a negative episode, but please see the positive side in it. You know, again, you only fail when you give up, and failure can be a good thing. So stay positive, everybody. Keep at it. And Eddie, is there anything else you'd like to say on this?
Yeah. One more thing. There's one more thing that I have to say.
Bring it on.
So, of course, keep positive, stay hopeful, stay on your grind. But I will say this. It has recently come into my knowledge center of my brain where yes, hope is vital. Positivity is vital. That's all that is possibly one of the biggest things that will keep you going. However, if you don't do anything, then you're kind of wasting all that hope.
Absolutely. Action.
And
take a listen to our episode about first steps about that.
Yes. So I'm saying, be hopeful, but also like don't waste it. Just like use that hope. Use it as your driving force instead of just being hopeful and not doing anything. I don't really know if that's possible, but did I just say something like obvious and stupid? I don't know.
No. I think you've just doubled down on a theme that taking action is better than inaction.
Yes.
Do something, anything to realize and achieve your goals in life. Definitely.
Yeah, and that's my take.
Absolutely. And that's a great way to end of the episode. Again, we're probably going to come back to this. As with all our topics, we've just barely scratched the surface, and I'm sure as we move forward and as we are trying to achieve that ever coveted goal of financial freedom, we will encounter failure, and we will share those stories with you.
Oh, for sure,
as much as we can.
And again, if there are any psychiatrists or psychologists out there that want to discuss failure, you're more than welcome to be a guest on the podcast.
Yes, please. That'll be great.
That would be an interesting take on it. Just saying.
Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, guys, for listening to another episode of the Two Broke Gaijin podcast. Please, if you can, leave us a review on your podcatching software, whether that's iTunes, Google Play. We're on Stitcher now, Acast, pretty much anywhere that has a podcasting thing, except for SoundCloud again. Except for SoundCloud. We're not on SoundCloud.
No?
We're not on SoundCloud.
Oh, God.
Yet. It is a goal, but we're not on SoundCloud yet.
We're not on SoundCloud yet. So
unless you listen to this on SoundCloud, in which case, hey, we made it finally, but not yet. But not quite yet.
Yeah.
So please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're pretty much on those three main social media. Also YouTube. We are putting the episodes up on YouTube.
That's right. We doing YouTube now. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yes. And Instagram, our Instagram, we've been putting some bonus content up there. We've got some stuff up there that you may enjoy. So please check it out. That's at Two Broke Gaijin on pretty much everything. So Twitter, we're at Two Broke Gaijin. Instagram, we're at Two Broke Gaijin. Facebook is a bit weird. So we'll find it in the show notes or in the description of the video. Facebook, we couldn't get Two Broke Gaijin, so it will be in the description down below. So thank you again for listening, guys, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you.
Bye.